In terms of this stabilization, starting that, would you say phase one could be like a block of like 4 to 6 weeks kind of vibe?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. 4 to 6 weeks. Here's breaking into the next point here, variation. For me and you, we can do 6 to 8 weeks and be sweet and enjoy it. But the problem is you want to not make it too monotonous. This goes into kind of a business sense as well. Like you don't want to be too monotonous, like doing the same thing all the time.
Mm.
And because they're so new and they're going to be training, 2 times a week, they're not going to be training 5, 6 days a week. You want to really open up their movement patterns as much as possible and expose them to a variation of exercises. Now, that doesn't mean every time you train them, you change the exercise on them. It
Yeah.
means your blocks might be 3 weeks. It
Yeah.
might be 2 weeks. It might be 4 weeks. For a beginner, I wouldn't really push it over 4 weeks personally. I would keep the same movement patterns, like the components, like hinge, squat, lunge, all that stuff. I'll be putting variation on those movements, moving from deadlift to a single leg deadlift, from a push up to a bench press. Like keep exposing them to this because this is your time to really create a vast network of movement patterns and learn how
Mm.
to use the same cues for each one of those movement patterns. It helps them not get bored because that's ultimately like their general pop. They're going to get bored. They've had a big night on the piss. You want to make training fun. You don't want to make it boring. If you had to train a 7-year-old, like you're not going to make it boring. And unfortunately, some of the clients that you get are going to have the fucking attention span of a 7-year-old, and that's how you
Yeah.
have to treat it sometimes. So,
Hmm.
but then for your own knowledge, like if they do start to progress, you want to start to increase phase two, strength endurance. That's when your rep range gets down to 15, and then hypertrophy, 8 to 12, and then maximal strength, 6 to 8, and then your maximal strength. And power, that's for athletes. You could still program power in for like intermediate, but I wouldn't even bother with beginners unless that's like one of the specific things that they want. Yeah.
Cool.